Greetings and welcome to the Thirsty Mage, the virtual pub where we only talk about zombie games at the break of dawn. I'm your host, David Lloyd, and here we're talking about big franchises this episode. Specifically, we'll be getting into Resident Evil 9 and talking about The Secret of Mana, and we'll see if we have some time for some other ones. But it's just funny, looking at the recent video game news and how some of these new games are just releasing and dying within a few weeks. So yeah, we thought we'd talk about why these long running franchises just never seem to cease. There's always a new one around the corner. And joining me is the only man on this podcast that's brave enough to play Resident Evil 9. It's Casey Gibson.
But not the only man stupid enough to get up at 6 a.m. on daylight savings time.
Yep.
Where it's around here pretending to be 7 a.m. and it's awfully dark, but we made it. We made it. We're here.
Thankfully, the microphone cannot pick up me rubbing my eyes constantly through it.
I set the alarm. And honestly, the first one went off. I was like, oh, okay. I set it like 50 minutes in advance because it always takes me a while to get up. But yeah, those snoozes kept coming seemingly faster and faster.
Yeah, well, it's good that we're doing it in the mornings because, like I said, with Resident Evil, this is a very long running franchise. I tried to get into it once. It is still officially the only video game that I've ever asked for a refund back from Steam. I tried. I don't know what kind of tragedy or some whatever event in my life that gives me triggers whenever I play a zombie game. I do recall back, and I don't know if this is what did it or not, but I remember when I think I was about 7 or 8, I went to hockey camp, and there's only so much ice time you can get. So we were at lunch, and it was like I think it was like an hour and something or a couple hours before we could get back onto the ice, and the counselors didn't want to really have to look after us. So they just threw on a movie, which was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. And I don't think there was actually zombies in that movie specifically, but there was definitely scenes that were kind of reminiscent of it, because there was like one scene where a guy's heart is like pulled out of his chest, and apparently, like I don't have any memory of this. I do remember hockey camps, but I don't remember this movie specifically.
Two head injuries.
Yeah, exactly. I just remember years later my parents talking about how I was traumatized by watching that movie as a kid, that I had come home that day like just freaked out, apparently.
Pale as a ghost. You're like,
I guess they chewed out the hockey camp apparently after that one. Because I think funny. Temple of Doom is not a movie for a 7 or 8 year old.
It's funny because I'm not a huge Indiana Jones fan. I mean, I like them, but not to the point where like I remember the
details,
the smaller points of the plot. Yeah. But yeah, I guess I just never thought of it as a scary movie. But I guess as a child, I would have been more freaked out by the snake part. That's what I remember, like, "Bah!" But then again, my dad also used to be like, hey, Case, Chucky's on, and knowing dang well I was thinking it was Rugrats, and I'd come down and see that freaking doll running around with a knife. I'd be, but maybe that's what sparked my interest in scary movies and games, because yes, I love Resident Evil, and most of them are pretty scary. There's some that aren't, but yeah, I believe you tried to play the original remake of 1, right? For like the GameCube version.
Well, yeah, it was on Steam.
Based off the GameCube.
But version. Pretty sure it's based off the GameCube version. Yeah, it was like a remastered version of the OG.
Yeah, that one it's incredible because I believe that's was released 6 years after the original. or something within that time frame. And then just the comparison between the original and the GameCube remake is just insane. I mean, I know obviously the GameCube has a lot more juice than the PS1, but just between the acting in the beginning and everything, they really stepped it up. And I do think there's rumored that they might be remaking one again. I don't know. I've heard rumors they're remaking like 3 different ones, which could very well be true because they are remaking seemingly all the games. Um, but yeah, that first one's freaking scary, especially the GameCube one, dude. Like, whew, uh, not for the faint of heart, that's for sure.
No, it's those tight corners, and then the fixed camera
Mm-hmm.
where like you just go around a corner and it's like there's the zombie and you're just like running for your life.
That are like, oh, let's put this crazy angle where you have to walk down dark stairs, but you can't see ahead of you.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
sons of guns.
yeah. Well, and then the zombie. I remember the very first zombie I saw in the game. I just started like laid into him with my gun, and it was like 8 shots in, and I'm like, he's not dying.
Yeah, he's like, I am Superman. Um,
Yeah,
and it's funny because that original one, so um, the PS1 version, right? Like if you killed a zombie, they're just dead, So you could clear out the areas and then more because a lot of the first one, especially, it's sort of like a Metroidvania almost, right? Where it's like lots of navigating to and fro again in the mansion there. So like there'd be plenty of times where you're sort of going in the same rooms a lot. And if you clear out the zombies, right, that definitely cuts out a bunch of the tension. But in the GameCube remake, they introduced the Crimson Heads, which were zombies that you killed that came back to life, but way stronger and faster.
man.
And the only way to prevent a zombie from becoming a Crimson Head is that you could burn their corpse, but there's only so much kerosene you had. So it was one of those ones where, like, inevitably you were going to be running into a Crimson Head, and it would make your worst nightmares come true. So
Oh
you
man.
you might have been a good idea to get the heck out of Dodge before before you got to that point.
Yeah. Well, I haven't necessarily written off the full franchise. I might jump into RE4
I
yeah, at
honestly,
some
I
point.
I think four, like the OG 4 is still very playable. The remake is really great too. I feel like without having played both like real recently, I feel like the remake of 4 is probably more scary in some regards, mainly just because of like the graphical fidelity and how good it looks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there are definitely parts like the regenerators. I remember those bad boys being scary. But yeah, 4 is really great action. Still, Leon's the goat.
Yeah.
So any game with Leon in it is really great.
I did manage to get through The Last of Us 2, so
I still haven't played that one. I beat the first game and I loved it, and then I have the second one. I think I played it for like when I first got my PS5. My friend sent, he gave me that as well. Like he had a physical copy of Last of Us 2. And I think I played like 10, 15 minutes just to like get a look at it. And I was like, wow, this is like the most beautiful game I've ever seen, I think, up to that point. So, but yeah, I
yeah,
heard it's a little divisive.
yeah. I
The
assumed you played
stories.
into the until you played up to the point where Joel died, and then you tossed your disc out the window. You're like, "Well, I'm not playing this crap."
Yeah, I ain't play no girl.
Oh man, yeah.
Unless it's
So
Tifa. And you know
yeah,
what? Know what annoys me about remake? Every time Cloud's out of the party and Tifa's there, you control the other person. You know what I mean? It's like I don't want to be Aerith. I want to be Tifa.
oh yeah,
But anywho,
yeah. But that I guess kind of brings us to RE9 in the sense of you. We were talking before recording that you're getting a little taste of both worlds. I guess both that slow, scary powerlessness, but then the action it also happens to be there.
yeah, they've really sort of hit the mark with both styles and blending them in pretty well. So, I'm gonna do my best here. definitely no big spoilers or anything. There might be a little bit of spoilers in terms of just sort of setting a little bit, but nothing that hasn't already been talked about in pre-release stuff. So
Yeah.
if you've been following the game at all, like you sort of have an idea of where you're going to be going in this game. But yeah, it starts off with Grace is a new character. She's like an FBI analyst or a desk jockey, if you will. So she does research and stuff behind the scenes or in the office, and she's sort of asked to go to this hotel to investigate something, which just happens to also be where her mother was murdered. I was
Her
like,
boss sounds like a jerk.
yeah, well, that's what I thought. I was like, the real enemy here is the FBI director that forced
Yeah.
her to go where her mom got murdered.
Oh,
But
man.
but then she ends up sort of getting taken, and then you're in this. I guess it's like a research center, but it's also patients are there, like living there, and essentially, right, it's like the enemy or the boss man that presumably I'm assuming it's the big boss of the game. Maybe there's some maybe he's the penultimate and there's some other boss I'll be fighting later on. But essentially he sort of runs the clinic and he's like right researching these bioweapons and mutations and stuff. So as Grace, you go through it and it very much feels like an OG Resident Evil where it's like, all right, we're in this care center, which feels like the mansion, right? There's locked doors, there's things and puzzles to sort of go and pick up items and finish these puzzles to unlock new areas, etc., etc. So it feels very, very true, like Resident Evil. Very scary, right? She doesn't have a lot of ammo. She's inherently not a G, if you will, like Leon when it comes to combat. So it's very much like when you see enemies, you feel intimidated, right? And it's a lot more like methodical. Maybe I'm not going to kill every enemy. I'm gonna, if I could sneak around an enemy, that's great. Um, you know, and again, it's sort of like we were talking about the first one, where it is going to be parts where you're going to sort of revisit areas. So, you're not going to be able to kill every enemy, and it's sort of got to take like a mental note of like where some enemies might be hiding. So this way on the retrace, you aren't getting surprised. But what's really cool about these zombies are right. I feel like in most games they're just sort of you get your mindless zombies. Or like, oh, maybe you get one that's like the Crimson Heads. Oh, they're like, inherently they're faster. But now these zombies sort of keep their personality from like their living, I guess, before they went zombie, if you will. So, for instance, in the one area, there's like a bar and lounge, and there's like a singer. So you hear her singing, like as you're walking the halls, you can hear her like, "Ah," and it's freaky, and it's like, and
Yeah.
she's sort of wandering around. There's like the I guess employees who where they're like, all right, he's like making sure the lights are off. You can hear him like going to the different light switches and making sure they're off. And if you turn one on, he'll like stagger over there and try and turn it off. Um, the maids, right? They're sort of cleaning. And what's cool is, I didn't notice this, but I read about it. Was something like if you kill a couple zombies in a different area, the maids will work their way over to that area to clean up the blood. You know,
That's
and
funny.
like there's one zombie who is like hangs out in the lounge, but if you kill the singer, then he gets up and starts wandering around because he's only there to listen to the lady singing. You know what I mean? So it's sort of cool. Like the attention to detail in that front was really interesting, and I thought
Hmm.
again, like really cool that the zombies had like sort of personalities. Um, but yeah, definitely scary. The atmosphere when you're as Grace, like I said, she's sort of you know, not someone who's used to this world. So like the voice actor, she did an awesome job because it's like she's very timid, right? And like um I'd almost say she's probably like an introvert, right? And like just someone who isn't fully confident in herself. So like you could hear it in her voice, like very like sort of stumbling upon herself. You know what I mean? Like it's things like that where it's like, wow, it's like it really nailed the vibe of like this poor girl is in like the worst day of her life. You know what I mean? And then you jump over to Leon and he's just like kicking zombies, smashing their skulls. He's got a hatchet and he's like in there chopping people up. It really feels great to switch to Leon after playing as Grace for a while because it's like, oh my god, like the tension you feel and dread as you are sort of slowly exploring areas as Grace, like that all just evaporates the second you take control of Leon because it's like, oh, this isn't his first rodeo. He's killed freaking thousands of zombies. You know what I mean? Like, and it's actually really funny. Like the first like little bit where you take over as Leon, you're like walking through like the city and like this one person is infected and like sort of attacks this person but like without even like, oh well, let me double check this person isn't just like crazy and attack you, like he like freaking like blows their brains out in the middle of the road. Dude, it's just like Leon's like, I've seen enough of this crap. I ain't taking a second guess here. I'm just gonna blast. But yeah, so the first half, like I said, you're sort of in this center, and you're dealing mainly with Grace, but you'll switch to Leon, and then now I've sort of gotten to the point where like now it seems to be more like a focal point on Leon and like more of the action packed gameplay. And I'm sure they're probably gonna pepper in other like sections where I go back to Grace, and it'll probably be a little bit more slow paced and scary. But yeah, it feels really good to have sort of both areas, and they've done this before. Like Resident Evil Revelations 1 on the 3DS was sort of similar, where it's like you're on a boat and like those were the creepy, slow paced, like more classic horror style, and then there'd be other spots where you're more action oriented. So they've definitely done it before, where they have sort of like the two different styles of play sort of melded into one. But I feel like this is really great. I you know me, and anyone who has listened to me talk about Resident Evil know I really love that old style. Like I like the fixed camera angles. I think that adds to the scariness a lot. You know, because they could really like you said, they could have a zombie pretty close to you and you can't tell until it's really up in your grill. But I think this does really, like I said, does a really great job of capturing that sort of OG Resident Evil feel, while also mixing in more of like the Resident Evil 4 action with Leon. Leon still has his classic cheesy one-liners, which, are awesome, right? It's sort of his staple is saying little one-liners after like clearing out a room of zombies. What's cool is too, they give you a lot of different options. Like, so I'm playing classic mode. So I like when you're controlling Grace, you have to get the ink ribbons like the OG, but they have an option where you could just save it typewriters without that. The game defaults to where you play Grace in the first person and Leon in third person, but you can adjust it to any which way you want. So I've actually been playing both in third person. Again, sort of just because my leanings of OG Resident Evil has always been like, hey, this is a third person game, not a first person game, but it is cool that they give you the options to sort of let you do that. Trying to think what else we got without going too spoilery or anything like that.
Does the story still seem fresh now that we're like 12ish or whatever games into the franchise? Like, is it still feeling like there's significance to it, or is it starting to feel like, man, these guys are really just trying to tack stuff on?
No, I think it feels good. So, Victor Gideon is like the guy who runs the clinic that sort of you find yourself facing off as, or eventually. I haven't fought him yet. Like I said, that's why I assume he's going to be the big boss. But maybe there'd be something else. Yeah, no, it feels good. I think there's still a lot for me to figure out sort of towards the end of like the culmination of how the story will, ultimately wrap up or see where it maybe pushes us for Resident Evil 10. But no, it feels good. Like it doesn't, like feel like, oh, like the story sucks, but like the gameplay is fun. Like I feel like everything, the characters have all been doing a good job of keeping things interesting. Like I said, returning to Raccoon City is sort of cool. Again, that sort of was one of those things where that's like the second big area I've gotten into, and the only reason I'm talking about it is because it's been in the pre-release information, right? Like that was one of the few things I knew was like, oh, we go back to Raccoon City, because I was trying to stay away from too much pre-game business since I knew like essentially obviously I'm getting this game. So I haven't gotten to like that, Raccoon Police Department or anything yet. So I'm really looking forward to that because that'll be like a cool nostalgic trip. But no, I think the characters, the new characters and stuff, have keeps it, or has kept it fresh, and yeah, it doesn't feel bad or anything, or like they're like milking it. Um, but yeah, no, I'm very happy with how it's shaken out, and like I said, it'll be I don't know how many. I gotta imagine I probably have maybe somewhere in like the 2 to 4 hour range left, maybe. Resident Evil games are never too crazy long. I think I've played like 8 or 9 hours, give or take. So I'd imagine, yeah, it's probably in that like 12 to 13, if I had to guess. Like,
Yeah.
I guess it could maybe have some sort of big spot at the end that I'm not sort of anticipating, but I feel like I said, yeah, usually, yeah, I'm looking at how long to beat. It's like 10 and a half to 13 hours with some extras. And I'm someone who I'm exploring every area I can. So I might be a little closer to that 13. But yeah,
At that length, it gives you the opportunity to milk it a little bit to soak it all up.
yeah. And these games are always, fun to sort of go back and replay. Especially right. I'd say, especially the grace areas in the beginning where you're sort of exploring, and like you definitely take your time. Like for instance, so like I said, I'm playing classic mode, so you only have so many saves. You got to use the ink ribbons, which this game does have a crafting system, which is actually really great. I guess the last couple have had crafting where you find sort of scraps, and then you can like combine it with gunpowder or whatever different items to make things. And one of it is you can make extra, like you'll find ink ribbon tins, and you can make more ink ribbons if you have to, if you run out of ones that are already made for saves. But I don't know, I think I've got like 10 like ink ribbon cases in my inventory, so definitely not like super limited saves, but it just essentially costs you some materials because you find this thing, and you can as you kill enemies, you can essentially like take their tainted blood and then like mix that with stuff to like craft items. So it feels fun because like, hey, it's like, oh, I want to kill enemies, I can take their blood, and then I can like make items to sort of help me down the road here. But if you sort of know where everything is, I bet you I could probably get through that grace part probably in like 2 hours. If you know exactly what you're doing, like it's like, oh, I could probably avoid a lot of enemies and sort of get the main objectives pretty quick. But again, I think that's every Resident Evil is like, if you boil it down to like, hey, I know where to go, you could get it done pretty quick. But I don't know. After playing a million freaking super long RPGs, I welcome a nice 10 to 12 hour game. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, thank God.
Yeah.
And especially, like I said, Resident Evil can definitely be a little stressful at times. So it's like, I wouldn't want a 30-hour stress fest.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that I was just looking up the sales numbers because I know I had heard that it was
Oh, they're killing it.
oh yeah, so it's the fastest selling Resident Evil so far. It's over 5 million already. Uh, I would imagine that it's going to end up being number one just because they've got the versions for pretty much every platform, like PC, PS5, Switch 2, all the important ones anyway. And
Yeah,
they
I think I saw they said, I think it was unconfirmed, but it was like they were guesstimating like 800,000 to like 1.2 million potentially on Switch 2 alone.
Yeah.
Which and by all accounts, the Switch 2 version is incredible. Like people were really, really amazed at how great it looked and was running. So almost, I mean, I'm still, again, I'm not like the biggest graphics snob, but when it comes to Resident Evil and games like this, I feel like it's like I got the PS5, I better use the power. But
Yeah.
man, I was real tempted on that Generations collection of 7, 8, and 9 for Switch in a nice, sexy box.
Yeah.
But
I can't believe RE2 remake has sold almost 17 million at this point too. Like that's nuts. Like
yeah, you know what it is? It's been like literally like a Resident Evil renaissance these last couple years, and by couple, I guess probably what 8. I
yeah, they've
think
been on a real run with all these remakes. Like
yeah, because it's been
two, three,
nice.
and four at this point, right?
What's up?
Two, 3, and 4 were all remade.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
And then so 2, 3, and 4 were remade, and then 7, 8, and 9 all came out. Like so, you got those like 6 games in like I said, it was like 8 or 9 year span or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, Resident Evil fans are eating good. And right, there's like a lot of rumors about 1 being remade, 5 being remade, and Code Veronica.
Yeah,
I don't
I've
know
heard
if
those. Yeah.
they're all true. I would love. I've never played Code Veronica, but by all accounts, like, or I guess maybe not all accounts, it was speculated, highly speculated that like Code Veronica was supposed to be the main line third entry.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like 3 Nemesis was supposed to be like the side piece. But then I guess with the exclusivity deals or whatever the deal they had with Sony was something where they're like, all right, well, since we can't have the 3 on the Dreamcast as the main one, we'll just make that Code Veronica. And then they made 3 Nemesis, which makes sense, right? Like I haven't played 3, but it being more gimmicky in the sense of maybe not gimmicky is maybe not the best word, but with the Nemesis like stalker enemy. But yeah, I would love a Code Veronica remake. I would be down with the 1 remake too. Like I said, I really love the style they have the current remake sort of set up, but I wouldn't be against another version with the over the shoulder camera, and maybe just an updated Spencer Mansion would be freaking awesome. But yeah, no, it's crazy how many great games. I mean, Capcom is just like murdering the game right now, right? Like
Yeah.
it's
I was
so
gonna
good
say
with the
that.
Resident Evil fronts,
Yeah.
the Monster Hunter fronts. It's like,
Well, there's yeah, like when you look at the sales numbers on Resident Evil, and then yeah, Monster Hunter these days, you can reasonably understand why they would probably just focus on like those 2 franchises at this point. Because I mean, what are the odds you sell like 16 million for a game is incredible, and especially this day and age with all the games out there, that's pretty nuts. Like that's yeah, you don't walk away from something like that. Like that's just a money maker. So
yeah.
yeah,
And
I
then,
don't see them straying off this path of like putting most of their focus on those 2 money generating franchises at this point. Like they're showing no signs of slowing down anyway.
yeah. I know it like huge. So the release, right, always on, and this is obviously going to be a limited sample being just the Steam numbers, but it's always fun to look at the concurrent Steam players when a game launches. Right, so Resident Evil 4 remake in 2023 had 168,000 players, most concurrent players, probably right at launch, right? And Requiem had like double that at 344,000 players on launch day, right? So,
Well, and
and
then apparently more than half of the sales were on PS5 as well. So it's just like
yeah, so
numbers
it's
even more staggering.
the hype for this game, I guess, was off the chart. I mean, I know I was really excited, which obviously, like in my mind, like might skew it. Well, I'm like, yeah, everyone's excited for Resident Evil, but it's great to see it doing awesome numbers. I think right, Leon is just the best. So I think a Leon game is going to sell well and play well, and you love to see it.
Yep.
Oh yeah, my hope is to beat it. I don't know if I'm going to beat it today, but within the next couple days, honestly, like you, I think you mentioned, I think we were recording, but yeah, Pocopia is definitely eating up some of my time as well, which has been fun. But yeah, two perfect games to play together: Resident Evil and Pocopia. You know, you get a little bit of
Yeah.
dread and murdering zombies, and then I get to go play as a Ditto who ate some girl in a cave.
Oh man. Mm. Yeah, I guess so. That's a franchise that's hasn't lost any steam. It's still trucking along there, and yeah, I guess I'm playing a game that comes from a franchise. It's actually the beginning of the franchise, or near the beginning of the franchise, and maybe on the opposite end of the spectrum of where things are going. Because the last couple games, or the last game in particular, I guess, did not sell well, but I'm working on the Mana franchise. Uh, well, actually, there's a few of us playing Secret of Mana right now because it's the one of the game club games that we got going on at the
One of
Thirsty
the
Mage
8
Discord.
game club games
Yeah,
you personally are partaking in.
yeah. So yeah, I was the Secret of Mana is a game that I've been wanting to finish for forever. I guess like I've tried to play it so many times. It's such a hard game to get into, and I even had a moment playing this one. So I've got all three characters at this point, and I've got the magic, so I've got that power or that ability, but it's so confusing, like the whole system on how to actually use use things, but like where you kind of pause the game to go into the menu. I don't know. I guess it's one of those games I probably should have actually read the instruction manual, like looked it up online or something. But
I say there's probably like a before you play YouTube video that
oh, should have
gives you a
looked it up. I'm
few
sure.
good tidbits.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess just to go back a bit, so the Mana franchise started in '91. Technically, the first game was Final Fantasy Adventure on the Game Boy. So it's kind of funny because like basically they stuck the Final Fantasy name on there because the NES game did so well, and again, like the whole franchise thing where you just attach the name to it and hope that the name rides out the sales.
Good old name recognition, baby.
Yep. So yeah, so that was the first game on Game Boy, and then Secret of Mana was the second game in the franchise, and it was released on the Super Nintendo. And yeah, it's basically the way that the story is playing out right now is that there's some kind of fortress, I guess, that in the past, I guess, like controlled the world or something like that, and then it was destroyed or not, or maybe not destroyed, put away, I guess, or imprisoned or something, because now we're at a point where the someone is trying to get the fortress back to take over the world, and you're just
Mm.
like this little villager kid who was playing with his buddies and fell off a cliff, and he ended
Go
up
save the world now, kid.
yeah, fell off a cliff, fell down the waterfall, landed in a little pond, and then was like, oh, that's a neat looking sword, and he pulls the sword of mana out. And yeah, he's basically been chosen, I guess, to protect the world at this point. The mana tree is losing its power,
Did you
which had been
sorry, did you
protecting.
say what version of this game you're playing? Is there
Um,
multiple versions?
oh yes, there is. So I'm playing the original SNES version, like the Super
Okay.
Nintendo one. There is a remake. There was a PS4 remake that I have not played myself, but by all accounts, was not a good
Mhm.
version. It's been pretty much panned by anything I've ever read. So yeah, so I went with the OG, and yeah, so my character basically he gets tossed out of the out of his village because when he gets back, everyone's like, "Why'd you take the mana sword?" Like I guess it was supposedly protecting the village from monsters, and now
Now they're screwed.
monsters are yeah they're running amok, and they blame him for it. So they're like, beat it, kid. You screwed us all. And yeah, so along the way, I've made a couple friends that are in like harrowing situations of their own. There's like a little sprite character who I guess got I guess he had amnesia or something, got tossed out of his village, his own village, so or got lost or something, I guess. So I picked him up, and then there was a girl whose people were disappearing from her village, so she was trying to figure out where they went. So out of convenience, the three of us are now a party, and all three of us have been told that we need to resurrect the power of the Mana Tree, or get the sword, bring the power back to the sword, so that we can save the world. And yeah, I think I'm about 3 hours ish into the game now. Completed a couple of the dungeons. I've got the water. So I guess what happened is like I saved the first. I don't know what you would call it, like spirit or something, undying. So it's like a water spirit. So now I have water magic. And then I went to, there was an underground palace where I beat the boss and set the gnome free. So he gave us like earth powers, and now I'm trying to help out this other village because it's funny, they've been turned into zombies.
Go
Yeah,
figure.
yeah. So it all comes together. So I'm in the next palace there, where I'm confronting the guy that's kind of turned them into zombies. So that's what I'm working on now. And
Albert Wesker.
yeah, yeah, Thanatos. But the yeah, it's just a strange game, because it's not really like many games that you would play. Like one of the first things that kind of threw me off was that there's this little system underneath where when you do a slash, uh, your power meter, there's like this little percentage that moves around at the bottom of the screen. So when you do like one slash with your sword, it goes to 0, and then it takes about a second or two to go back up to 100%. Like you see the percentage go from like 0 to 100. But if you slash again before it gets to full power, then you're hitting, like you're doing a weaker attack. So you're essentially like doing the attack, waiting for it to go back, and then attacking again. And it's all kind of like this timing thing, because the enemy that you're fighting might get up quicker than you getting to 100.
Gotcha.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so you're kind of playing with the timing there, and looking down at the percentage thing sometimes. And then your characters are controlled by AI, and they're famously terrible, terrible AI. I
It's
still
nice to
haven't.
know AI hasn't changed much over the years.
No, my characters are complete idiots. I have to play around with. Like, there's a setting that you can make them attack more or guard more or go ahead or stay back or whatever, but uh, I don't feel like any of the settings have really made any kind of meaningful difference, because my characters don't do anything. They just stand there like morons and get hit. And so you're essentially just trying to position them in a way where it's like, okay, just stay back. I'll handle this. You can switch between the characters with the select button, but the main guy is like the most powerful of them, and then you pretty much
And then
just the
he's an
other
idiot, right?
yeah. And then then the other two have the magic, so you're kind of like essentially just attacking with the main person, and then just using magical either attacks or health with the other two. But it's funny because like to switch, so there's two. Now I've just discovered this mostly. There are two buttons like that like one brings up the menu for you, or whoever character you are, I guess the main character. But then there's a second button that brings up the menu for the other two characters. But at first I didn't realize that was the case. Like I was hitting the button, and then it was you don't really know. It's not very intuitive of like, oh, okay, I have to hit the button twice if I want the other person.
Mm.
So I was just mashing buttons until I got to the other person's menu. Like, um, and then that you're on each person's menu because the little menu pops up above their head, but usually your party's in like this jumble, so you don't really know which menu's which. So it was getting pretty frustrating for a while. And this is why I've
I
fallen
hate
off of
this
it so
game.
many times. Yeah, I'm like, this game sucks. I don't know what to do.
I'm gonna return it.
And then yeah, and then the bosses like when they attack you, there's no way to dodge or anything. Like they'll do a magic attack, and I'm like running everywhere, and I'm like, okay, so this is BS. Like I'm just taking hits. Like there's no way to get out of the way of these things. And again, like you just kind of learn. Like with one boss, you just like spam the magic and you beat him, and you're all good. Or you the one another boss I just like brought in like 4 candies to just I just kept refilling my health until the guy died or whatever. So it's yeah, it's, you know, you learn as you go. It's definitely one of those things where you've got to struggle a bit to kind of learn how it's going. So yeah, I can't complain too much. Like and the other thing about that I've heard about Secret of Mana is that it's the difficulty is all front loaded. Like if you get past a certain point, then things
It's all downhill.
yeah. So I'm hoping I'm getting near that point because there's just so many Mana games that are in this franchise. Like you know, it started on the OG Game Boy, and you know, there's games on obviously Super Nintendo, and then there's like GameCube games, Game Boy Advance games. You know, there's been recent PS4 games, and
These ones are usually not too long, right? They're in like the 20 to 30.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what this one is. Like, see, I think they're usually like 20 to 30 for the most part. I think maybe the last couple games might have been stretched into 30, 40, but it's been an interesting franchise because it's so one of Square's like you know, flagship ones. You know, you got Final Fantasy, Mana, um, Romancing Saga, like all these. You know, these have all been around for 30 plus years now, so it's something I wanted to get into, but it certainly seems like based on sales that this is a franchise that maybe not too long for this world.
A back burner one, yeah.
Yeah,
It's funny because I've never played. I mean, I probably played it a little bit at some point, but yeah, I've never really put a ton of time into it for whatever reason. But I do know it's got an unbelievable soundtrack. I know that.
yeah.
Because I've listened to a bunch of the soundtrack more than I've ever put any time into the game. But yeah, I feel like for me, it's always been one of those like you said, obviously, right? Like a Square games are always something that's going to interest us. But for whatever reason, that yeah, it's like I've never was able or never have put like a ton of time into it.
Yeah, well, I think part of it too is like the action RPG part of it. Like I've always been more of a turn-based guy myself, so trying to play through an action RPG is a little bit more work, I guess, or a little bit
Especially
not
a
quite as
primitive
enjoyable.
one, you know?
Yeah, but well, and the other thing too is that it's gorgeous. Like it's a beautiful looking game. Like they did a really good job. Like everything looks great. Like the sprites, the environments, the bosses, like the effects of like when you do magic and stuff. It all looks amazing. So I'm hoping it's funny too because when a lot of people will say that this is like one of their favorite games of all time, so it's obviously got like some, and I can see like we'll see it how, the further I go in. If the things that kind of annoy me start to kind of go away, like with practice or whatever, like I'm sure it's one of those things where as you get used to using this menu and kind of get used to how to use the magic and stuff, and then I would imagine too, as I get more powerful and I get more magic, it becomes a lot more fun too. Because like when you have more options, it's definitely more.
Yeah, instead of
There's
just doing the same spell or attack over and over and over again.
yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's funny, like there's been a few different Mana games that I've tried a few times. Like I've Sword of Mana, I believe Sword of Mana is the GBA game. I've played that. I've started that one like 3 or 4 times, and and didn't get very far into. And I did buy the Trials of Mana remake um, when it first came out. I remember, I think all like we did that for an episode like a few years ago when it came out. I guess it came out in 2020, and I remember we played it, but I don't think I got too far into it.
Nah, yeah. Again, well, for whatever reason, it's never been able to sink its claws into me.
Yeah, and then I did buy Visions of Mana, but I haven't played it yet.
Got him.
Yeah, like they got my Square's got my they got my
Square
bank
knows
account on.
we put anything out, we're gonna
Yeah,
get at least one sale from Canada.
yeah, and so yeah, I got, and it's funny because I remember that one was got a lot of praise. Like I believe it was it was PlayStation, PC, and Xbox. I guess it was a little too advanced for the Switch. I guess I don't know if we'll see it on this. Like, I'm sure the Switch 2 could play it at this point, but whether or not Square wants to port it, I guess, is the question.
Yeah,
But
is it worth it?
yeah, because the sales were not great, even though the reception seemed to be pretty decent. So
Well, the good news is in like 20 years or so, you'll get around to it.
yeah, that's right. It's on my backlog, somewhere down the line there. But yeah, it's just again like just another example of these franchises that just continues to churn out new titles. It's I don't know. It's There's so many of the Square games where you wonder, like, there's not too often where they come out with a new franchise. Like, when you think of, like, Octopath is probably like the last new franchise that's kind of taken
Really stuck.
hold. Yeah, like, I
They
guess
got the
they
right, the card game, but like that wasn't obviously something that hit quite as hard.
yeah.
Hopefully, the Adventures of Elliot could be another one here. But yeah, Octopath, and then I guess to a slightly lesser extent, Bravely Default.
Yeah, well, and I hope that they bring out another Triangle Strategy. Like, I want Square to make another tactics game like that.
Triangle Strategy Squared.
Yeah. My only concern is they might be like, oh well, if we're making a tactics game, we're just going to make another Final Fantasy Tactics. Which,
Wouldn't be a bad idea.
no, I won't say no to it, but it's just, it's just kind of funny that the companies, they just go back to the like you said earlier, the name cachet, where it's where
Yeah,
you're like,
that's
oh, I remember
unfortunately
that.
our world, right? All
Yeah,
movies too. Like, let's remake and add movies to. Why make new stuff?
yeah, yep. Why make new stuff when people will buy the old stuff?
And it's like I do get it, but yeah, it's sort of. I mean, the good thing is when they come out and they're good, But yeah, it would be cool to get some new stuff too. But I guess like I said, they're Elliot, Adventures of Elliot, so it's not like they're not giving us new stuff.
No, no, and I would say, like, especially with Adventures of Elliot, like, there is some familiarity to it because you've got the 2D HD graphics, which kind of gives you those Octopath, flavor or whatever. It kind of gives you the same vibes. But then I haven't played the demo yet, but I kind of assumed it was along the lines of classic Mana to a certain extent with the action RPG.
It
Bent to it.
reminded me more of like a top down Zelda.
Okay.
But yeah, but it also has been a minute since I played it, so maybe it has some of that Mana type stuff too. But from what I can remember, I feel like it was more like this is sort of like their crack at like a Zelda game,
Yeah. Well, I'm sure someone could make the argument that Mana back in the day was
their
the
attempt at a
Square,
Zelda game.
yeah, Square's take on a Zelda like. So yeah, well, maybe that's the where Adventures of Elliot came in, was that Trials of, or the Visions of Mana, I guess the last one, doesn't sell great, so maybe they're like, well, maybe we'll give it another shot going back to the when you look at how well Octopath did, where kind of went back to the formula, but in the sprite 2D aesthetic, and did really well on sales, and then hoping that maybe they can resurge Mana in the same sort of way, but obviously with a new name or a different franchise. But I'm hoping it takes on. It's always good to see the new stuff. Like, there's some new, when you look back at something like The World Is Not or The World Ends With You, it is like to me is an example of, like, trying to do something fresh. I think they were rewarded for it back in the day. Like, I think it must have sold well enough, because they they had,
re-released it.
yeah, they re-released it. They did a new, like, they did have a sequel, even though the sequel kind of bombed. But I think the argument there would be more that that game was really did well on a dual screen touch screen.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's where its bread and butter was.
Switch.
Yeah.
No, I didn't play the original. I guess I didn't play the. I haven't played it at all. I guess I should say, but I do remember. Yeah, the DS one had very high praise. I think one of those sort of like sort of niche hits that people who played it loved it generally for the most part.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of wish that video game publishers these days would take a little bit more
Have
risk
some
and try to,
cojones.
yeah. But but then when you see like all these developers like shutting down,
Concord and the High Guards of the world.
yeah, like how do you blame someone like watching all these companies go under and then be like, yeah, maybe we'll just take the safe route for now, you know?
Yeah. Although I'd like to think that Square Enix has a little more uh, self. I can't think of the word.
I
Hopefully, they're
hope
not
they have
as
some money
dumb
in
where
the
they
bank.
could look at a crap game like Concord and not think like, "Wow, we got a hit here, boys."
Yeah, I don't know. Square still tries to dip its toes into those weird like the because now they have a game called Killer In, which is like a live service game. Uh, and
The good
then
thing
they
is, I
did
bet it didn't cost them $400 million.
no, I don't imagine. Well, and then they had that they were trying to make their own Splatoon with, and I don't even remember what the name of the it was
Oh,
like
I
the
know what
bubble
you're
game.
talking. I know what you're talking about. I can't remember it, but oh, well, what they should do is just release Splatoon again. It seems to keep working for Nintendo.
Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, Nintendo is your pinnacle of we're just gonna keep making the same game and the same franchise forever and be
I'll never
rewarded for
forget
it.
when they released. So I forgot if it was just the brand new or if it was a DLC or something. But it was like, don't worry. If you don't like the way the new one looks, it actually is exactly the same as the old one. It just looks different. And if you want, you can switch back. Spend $60, please.
Yeah.
Ugh. Splatoon, dude.
Mm.
I
Well, it
used to love
was.
that game, but then they released it 3 times and
I
tried
was
to
gonna
sell it
say
to you 3 times.
is Splatoon 2 when it first came out for Switch was like it was great. I remember we had a lot of fun online matches and had a good time. But yeah, like as soon as Splatoon 3 came out, and it was basically the exact same game.
They're like, we would just like some more money,
Yeah,
please.
can you please give us $100? We need some more money. We
Yeah.
a few more golden toilets here at the Nintendo head office.
Good old Nintendo. But yeah, they're weird because like sometimes it's like some of the releases are so lazy, and then other times it's like, oh wow, like all right, they put the full effort behind this one.
Yeah,
Like I was thinking the other day, like we're coming up on a decade since the last 3D Mario. Isn't that wild?
yeah, yeah. I was convinced that we were gonna get new Mario when Switch 2 came out, but yeah, I don't know what's going on there. There's got to be one in the hopper. You would have to think like it's got to be close.
Yeah, it's somewhere. And like I was thinking, I was surprised. I thought they'd have Animal Crossing out the year one because that's sort of a console mover for the more casual fan, especially right like people having nostalgic feelings about early pandemic life when Animal Crossing
Yeah,
came out. Um, but honestly, Pocopia, man, it's given some of those nice Animal Crossing slash Builders, Dragon Quest Builders 2 vibes, and ooh, apparently it's sold out physically like everywhere. People are having trouble getting it. Like
yeah,
I think I forgot if it was Walmart or it might have been Amazon. Like released essentially like, hey, we're completely out of our first stock. Like order now for our second wave when it comes. So hopefully that's good news for their sales numbers here.
Well, it had some ridiculously high review scores. I think it was like running around 97 or something crazy.
I think
So
it was it's like the highest Pokemon game ever ever
yeah,
ranked
yeah,
for a
the
Metacritic
one
or
that's not
whatever.
the one that's not made by Game Freak.
Yeah, yeah. Although I tell you what, Winds and Waves the looks really good too. The new one that'll be coming out in 2027. Um,
Yeah,
looks like hey they got some. It's one of those ones where like no, not this year is sort of a bummer. But then I think about it and I'm like, you know what? No, this
yeah,
is good. Like give them as much time. because I don't think the people at Game Freak are incapable of making a good game. I think they just have such little time to do it.
Yeah, and a smaller team, I think, compared to other big.
Yeah, so I feel like they get that sort of like, hey, like at the end of the day, this is going to sell no matter what,
Yeah.
like who we kidding? But I feel like, hey, give them time to cook. Like I really think Scarlet and Violet were great games content wise. Like it didn't obviously run very well, and I didn't play it at launch when it was apparently way worse.
Yeah.
So give them time to cook. It's like they could come up with good game, like I said, Scarlet Violet is really fun. So if this game can sort of catch that sort of feel to it and actually run well on the Switch too, like I'm really excited for that. But yeah, I guess we're getting long in the tooth here, so I won't go too much into Pokopia. We'll save it for another episode. But early goings are really, really enjoyable. I'm really having a good time with it, and I'd say Paige's too, given that she's beaten it in less than a week.
Yeah, well, we'll have. I guess this is a good place to wrap it up, and yeah, I'm sure we'll have an episode on that game. But I also know that it will be one of the main focuses of our April issue of the Mage magazine. So if you have any nostalgic feeling for reading magazines, our digital magazine is up and running. It's the March issue or the February issue is definitely there. I imagine by the time this is out, the March issue will also be available, and that one is focusing on Dragon Quest. That's the cover, the Dragon Quest VII Reimagined. So yeah, we'll have some articles on that. So yeah, if you want to check out our free digital magazine, you can head over to thethirstymage.com and download that. And yeah, just let us know. We're having a fun time making that now, and yeah, so we're looking to continue that on. But I guess we'll say goodbye for now, and we'll see everyone out at the next Thirsty Mage. Bye.
Adios.